Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily Dvar, and here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Wednesday, the 7th day of November. Here we go. Today's halacha is about doing work on Shabbos. A lot of you know that you're not allowed to do work like carrying things outdoors on Shabbos, or turning fires on and off and stuff like that. What you might not know is that sometimes just putting the finishing touch on something is considered a malacha, a prohibited labor on Shabbos also. I'll give you an example of that. What it's called in the technical terminology of the Mishnah is maket b'patish, or tikkun mana, which means fixing an item with the final touch. The example of that makat b'patish actually means that when a blacksmith would hammer against his anvil, let's say to hammer on a horseshoe and to make it all flat the way it needs to be, so at the end of the hammering, sometimes the actual anvil itself was a little bit dented from all the hammering, and at the end of his work, the final touch would be that the blacksmith would hammer on the anvil and just smoothen out that spot all perfectly flat. That was the finishing touch, and that is one of the 39 things that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. Now, this could apply to you even if you're not a blacksmith. When you have something like let's say your glasses, and the temple piece of your glasses fell out. There's a little screw that you found, and if you pop it back in securely, then your glasses are permanently fixed. They weren't wearable, let's say, without that temple, and now they're perfectly wearable and it's permanently fixed. Then you would probably have been guilty of makat patish, of that 39th work. But it applies in other ways. Like, let's say you had a garment that had a thread hanging, and you absolutely feel like, oh, I'm so embarrassed to go out with that thread hanging there. And just pulling off a thread would probably not usually constitute such a big malacha or work according to biblical status. But in this particular case, because if you really feel that you can't wear that garment with that thread hanging off, and now that you tear it off you can, then that's kind of like the final touch. You just finally fixed it, and you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos either. So be careful. If something's slipped off of something and you securely slam it back into place permanently, things like that can sometimes be makat b'patish, and you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. So please watch out for that and don't fall into that trap on Shabbos. Thanks for logging on. Log on again tomorrow for more. Bye bye.